More opportunities for the Sun Belt. It's Locked On Sun Belt.
You are Locked On Sun Belt, your daily podcast on the Sun Belt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz back with another edition of Locked On Sun Belt, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, we'll preview, which I guess is week 5. Technically, we'll go over that, and there's still more Texas State news. They are apparently listening to potential offers. All right, so let's go over, we have some actual Sun Belt matchups. Oh, my God. So we'll go over the big matchups and the big opportunities. There are 3 specific ones. And yesterday we talked with Matt Moscona from Locked On LSU on South Alabama's opportunity to take on the Tigers in Baton Rouge. All right, and so we've said this with some other teams heading into games like this. I don't know if we know how good South Alabama is. I don't think you can just put down 135 points in the last 2 weeks and said, well, they played Northwestern State. The App State's impressive. The App State win is also impressive. But we will see. Obviously, this is stepping up a few steps in level of competition when you're taking on LSU, but it is not the national championship team 2019 LSU. It's not the 2023 LSU offensive juggernaut. You heard Matt Moscona say that Garrett Nussmeier is among the nation's leading passers. All right. But because it's not Jaden Daniels type numbers, it doesn't come out and look quite as good. I think South Alabama's got a chance to hang. They have to do the same thing, not the same thing. They have to do what App State could not do. And at one point in time, Georgia Southern did, right? Georgia Southern actually, stood their ground after getting punched in the face, if you will, by Boise State. Now, they let it slip away, but they were behind in that ball game, ended up taking the lead. South Alabama's got to deliver the first punch. That's what they got to do. They got to get LSU on their heels. It could slip away very quickly, right? I mean, you blinked and that App State Clemson game was 14-0, right? I was working on getting my apartment together, changed the channel after it was 14-0, came back and it was 42-0, and we were still 3 minutes into the second quarter. So we know LSU's offense can be explosive, but we saw South Alabama played really good defense last week against App State. Their offense, they're going to run right at LSU. South Alabama has a good defensive line, so LSU needs to block them to give Nussmeier, and maybe where LSU has the advantage on the outside a little bit, to go down the field against South Alabama. But if South Alabama can deliver the first punch and get LSU on its heels, you'll get some moaning and groaning, right? Because there was moaning and groaning against Nichols. There was moaning and groaning against UCLA. As Matt has pointed out, it's a pretty good LSU team. It just hasn't been a very consistent LSU football team. And now they're dealing with the injury of Harold Perkins Jr. So we'll see what LSU does. Defensively, I will still pick. I'm going to take a flyer on South Alabama. All right, I don't mind saying that at all. It is a 20.5-point spread. Let's see if we can find what the money line is. LSU is minus 1,600. South Alabama is plus 900. So I will take a flyer on the money line. You can count on that. All right, the other big ball game out of conference, the Cajuns are looking to bounce back against Wake. Not a very good ACC team at all. Wake Forest is just not good. All right, let's just not sugarcoat it. All right, Wake Forest isn't very good. This is an opportunity for the Cajuns to, come back after what was not a very good performance against Tulane. Offensively, it wasn't bad, but defensively, it wasn't very good. And obviously, giving up the special teams touchdown and the pick six wasn't very good. Draylon Washington did play in that ball game, did get 4 carries. Zylan Perry's actually listed as the starter, and it says Zylan Perry, Bill Davis, or Draylon Washington. So all 3 are on there. It is 3:30 Eastern time, so 2:30 for the Cajuns in Wake, in Carolina. So, again, the Cajuns need to win this football game. All right. They would take what looked to be a pretty good start over two lesser opponents. I get it. Competed well with Tulane. I don't know if the Cajuns wilted in the heat, but they just could not. They actually did get a stop at the end to force a field goal that Tulane missed, but they could not go down the field. A little bit too much horizontal, I thought, when they needed to start going down the field. Again, if Ben Wooldridge, as he did at the end of the game, throws an interception on 3rd and 9 with 40 seconds left to go because he needs a first down, I just can't crush him. I know there's 4th down or something along those lines, and he did throw an interception because he had to throw it up for grabs. But if you got to force the ball with less than a minute to go, then force the ball with less than a minute to go. All right. I want to go downfield. What I don't want to do is do a swing pass on 4th and 8 and you gain 3 yards. That does nothing for me. Now you're asking somebody to make a move and make a guy miss. I don't want any of that. So this is a ball game. So I'd like to see them go downfield a little bit more vertical than horizontal. I'm definitely take the Cajuns. That's Wake is 3.5-point favorites, and UL is a plus 150 on the money line. I'll probably do both of those as well as the South Alabama ball game. Now, the other one that has big ramifications for the Sun Belt potentially, although not for App State anymore, is App State is hosting Liberty. Do we say it? Liberty's coming in 4-0. App State is 2-2. Liberty just a 3.5-point favorite on the road in lovely Boone, North Carolina. I mean, is Sean Clark playing or coaching for his job here? You can't get embarrassed twice like that if Liberty comes in here and starts routing App State. Can App State bounce back? Shake off is what I wanted to say about the Cajuns. Shake off that loss. Liberty has played. They have the easiest schedule in the country. They have played Campbell, beat them 41-24. New Mexico State 30-24. UTEP 28-10, and then beat East Carolina, maybe the best team that they've played, 35-24. The last 2 games, 3 out of the 4 games actually were at home. New Mexico State was on the road. This is a big ball game for App State. It's a big ball game for the Sun Belt, and it's a huge ball game for Sean Clark. They need to win this ball game, and they certainly need to compete compared to what they have done this year. They just have not competed well in big spots. You know, East Tennessee, they did beat East Carolina. They did hold off the Pirates with a couple of defensive stops. It's pretty good. But Clemson, they got blown out, and they got blown out by South Alabama. Let's see against what is supposed to be a pretty good Liberty team. Again, Liberty, Boise State, Memphis before they lost to Navy, UNLV before maybe their quarterback stepped aside. You know, Liberty was right in there among the G5 teams that could get that last playoff spot. And let's see if if App State can upset the apple cart, if you will, and take Liberty down a notch. I am one that does not think that Liberty is going to join the Sun Belt. I don't think the Sun Belt wants anything to do with Liberty. That's just my thing. There's, I think, multiple reasons for that. I think the biggest reason is cash. Liberty is awash in cash. And a lot of the other Sun Belt schools are not. But let's see if App State can help out the Sun Belt and help out themselves by beating Liberty at home on Saturday. We mentioned that the South Alabama game is on SEC Network. That's at 7:45, I think, on Saturday. The Cajuns game is on at 3:30. Those are Eastern times. I'm now in the Eastern time zone against Wake. And App is actually, that game is streaming because the Georgia Southern game is actually on ESPNU. We will get to that when we come back. We actually don't have one Sun Belt matchup. We've got 2. All right. And then we'll go over the other ball games. We still need, some teams got some tough ball games this week. And we will go over the idea that Texas State is listening to potential offers. All right. We kind of put it out there a week ago. It caught fire and people said nothing was going on, but it seems like it is going on. All right. We will do that when we come back after I tell you about Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5 APY on uninvested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposit bonuses, and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. We've actually predicted. Oh, by the way, I'm going to pick App State. I may not bet on them, but I'm picking App State. I didn't get that one in. They need to win that football game. Meanwhile, we talked about Georgia State and Georgia Southern. I'm going to go with Georgia State in this one. We previewed that with my guy Ben Moore from 24/7 Sports. Very popular, Ben Moore, on GSU Panther Talk. Georgia State 2-1, coming off a week off. Georgia Southern is 2-2, and they took a beating from Ole Miss, 52-13. In it a little bit in the first half, right? It was 17-0. They scored, making it 17-7, and they recovered an onside kick. And then they couldn't score. I don't think that would have changed the outcome by any stretch of imagination. And no shame falling to Ole Miss. They may actually be the best team in the nation. All right, so Georgia State is actually favored by 3. I'm going to take the Panthers in this one. It is the Sun Belt opener for both. That is on national TV. It is 3:30 on ESPNU. That was announced about 10 days ago. The other Sun Belt matchup in conference is Troy, coming off their first win of the season for Jerry Parker, taking on Monroe, who lost for the first time this season. Troy beats Florida A&M. They're 1-3. Monroe 2-1. They got that home win against UAB. They took a shellacking against Texas. Not unexpected. Although Arch Manning didn't have the greatest of all statistics. Troy favored by 7 here. And Goose Crowder is back. So maybe we will go with Goose Crowder and Troy because he came back through that 4-touchdown ball game. I believe he had 4 touchdowns. Was that right? Against it was 4 touchdowns against Florida A&M. 18 out of 25, 295. The problem is that the passing game for ULM lacks a little something. General Booty was effective in his first 2 ball games, but certainly not electric. Tough to go 2-0 and throw for less than 200 yards combined, not average, combined. And so we'll see how they take that show on the road. Wouldn't be surprised if ULM makes this a ball game, but I'm going to take Troy at home, especially if Goose Crowder is your quarterback. All right, elsewhere in the Sun Belt, again, thanks for tuning in to Locked On Sun Belt, your team every day. Old Dominion is in a tough spot. We've talked about this one. Bowling Green favored by 10 at home. Old Dominion is 0-3. They had very good opportunities to win the first 2 ball games of the season. They did not. They lost to Virginia Tech last week, and now they're facing Bowling Green, who's 1-2, but they lost to A&M by 6 in College Station. They went to Penn State, a top 10 team. They lost by 7, 34-27. They did beat Fordham 41-17. This is a really tough spot for ODU. I think they're in big trouble. I think ODU is in big trouble. I can't imagine that Bowling Green would be looking past ODU, right? As well as they played against Penn State and A&M. They're not going to take this game for granted, right? They're 1-2. They're not 3-0. So I would be shocked. And Old Dominion just has not gotten the offense going at all this season. I'm going to take Bowling Green in that one. I think they're going to cover. Let's see if Old Dominion can make it a ball game. I'm not sure that they're going to be able to. It has just been a struggle for the ODU offense so far this season. All right, you have Marshall hosting Western Michigan. Marshall actually a 3.5-point favorite. We'll see who's the quarterback for the Marshall Thundering Herd. It's been a big question all year, not just during the season, but all year. Like in 2024, Stoney Earl got, I think banged up maybe with cramps. Let's see here. Stone Earl got had some cramps. He had to come out of the ball game. Braylon Braxton went in, and then Cole Pennington did. I think Braxton tweaked an ankle. So we'll see who the quarterback is. I guess it'll be Earl, but they need a win as well. Western Michigan, it's actually the head coach of Western Michigan is actually the former Louisville offensive coordinator, for whatever that means. They gave Wisconsin all they could handle, lost 28-14. Then they wanted to step up and got shut out by Ohio State 56-0. They did put up some points against Bethune, 59-31. Marshall better be careful and make sure that they get this win. Don't be losing to Western Michigan at home. Can't be doing that. All right. I don't think that'll be the case. I will take Marshall in that one. And then you have Texas State taking on Sam Houston State. Texas State get like a week off in there. Feels like they did. I think they did, right? Because they're only playing their fourth ball game. Because they had Lamar, which was a tough ball game to start off with. Didn't play very well. Played extremely well against UTSA. Probably should have beaten Arizona State and did not, and have had a couple of weeks to think about it, because next week they're at Troy and then they host Arkansas State. So they're still got, could be a little bit of a trap game with Sam Houston, but probably not. Sam Houston has beaten Rice 34-14, did lose to UCF 45-14, beat Hawaii 31-13, and New Mexico State 31-11. So this team can score. What is the over-under in this one? Because that's what I'm looking at, 55.5. Woo! Texas State favored by 8. I'll take the Bearcats. I will take the Bobcats. I will take the Bobcats, and I like the over in this one. I would be surprised if they both don't score 30 points. All right, one more game to go over. I think, Ball State at JMU. Again, what are we getting with JMU, right? 1 week, they're scoring 13 against Gardner-Webb. The next week, they're scoring 70 against North Carolina. Go figure. We'll take James Madison. They're a 20-point favorite. Think they'll cover. Ball State is 1-2 with a win over Missouri State, 42-34. Blown out by Miami. Again, no shame, but 62-0 doesn't look very good. And they did lose to Central Michigan on the road, the Chippewas, with a 37-34 victory. All right, so we will take JMU. I think that I take all the Sun Belt, JMU, Texas State, the Cajuns, App. I did take Georgia State over Georgia Southern. Marshall to cover against West Michigan. Did take Bowling Green at home against ODU. And I'll take Troy to cover against Monroe. Would not be surprised if it is the under 45.5. And I will take South Alabama minus the 20.5 against the LSU Tigers. All right, let's take another timeout. Story will not go away. Reports now are out there, instead of just suggestions of who should join the Pac-12, is that Texas State is listening to other offers. We will do that when we come back after I tell you about FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Hopefully we do better this week than we did last week, and we revert back to what happened a couple of weeks ago we shall see how we do in the Sun Belt, staying away from team games like Georgia and Alabama. That feels like it could be a turnover game. Who knows what the weather's going to be like? And hopefully everybody will be safe with this upcoming hurricane, Helene, hitting the Florida coast, basically as we record this on Thursday night. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Story started with the Pac-12 taking on Boise State, San Diego State. Then apparently they added Utah State. But in there, teams, people were just conjecturing on who should join the Pac-12. And one of them was Texas State. So that got out there, and we put that episode. It was only our biggest episode in the history of Locked On Sunbelt. So we did it again, and it felt like, was Texas State staying or going? And we really weren't sure at the time. Again, didn't see any reports out there, but now we have one. By the way, that will end up being the second largest episode in Locked On Sunbelt history. Unfortunately, I didn't check my work. I had to erase the original and put up the edited version. My fault. But now we have a report out there. This is Dave Campbell's Texas Football, reported by Mike Craven. Dave Campbell's Texas Football can report that Texas State has had active conversations with the Mountain West Conference, the Pac-12, and the AAC, as well as with the Sun Belt about remaining. The Bobcats hope to capitalize on the momentum of the last two seasons, alongside a robust alumni network and proximity to Austin and San Antonio. A source confirms that Texas State brass is working the phones daily to build a case for the Bobcats as an attractive option. You remember now, UTSA joined Memphis, Tulane, and South Florida. They're staying in the AAC. So a couple of those teams, maybe it was three of those teams. I don't know if South Florida was in there, but they got in the report, or they got into the we're staying bit. But Memphis and Tulane were definitely being seeked out by the Mountain West. Here's where it's all about the money. Right? We can easily say that, and I don't think that offends everybody. According to the article, Conference USA pays each team $750,000. That's UTEP. UTEP may end up going to the Pac-12. Sunbelt is about $2 million. The Mountain West is close to $4 million, while the AAC is $7 million. All right. The Pac-12 could fetch $8 to $15 million, depending on future television deal. No, that's not going to happen. No one is going to pay $8 to $15 million to watch Boise State play Fresno State, or Boise State to play San Diego State. Not going to happen. All right. USC, Oregon, Arizona State, Arizona, Southern California, UCLA. Yes. Washington, you got it. Those other schools are not going to draw that. It's not going to happen. And if those other schools who've joined the Pac-12, because Boise State was the Mountain West Conference, bellwether, right? For football anyways, among maybe others. But that's certainly the big name out there. And now that they're gone, the Mountain West isn't going to get that kind of money. So better be careful if you're Texas State. You better, unlike the UNLV quarterback and UNLV per se, better get things down in writing before you announce it. I would urge that situation, because it just seems like, and now you got the Mountain West calling the MAC for Northern Illinois and Toledo. Come on. What are we really doing here? What are they really considering that? Toledo's got those two schools. I don't know about Northern Illinois, but certainly Toledo's got all those schools in Ohio. Why are we going to go out to the Mountain West and play for a couple of more bucks? You're going to spend the bucks traveling. It doesn't make any sense. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I want Texas State to stay. They are good for the Sun Belt. If Texas State can get more money and make the deal work, I certainly understand. Although I don't think they're getting $8 to $15 million. I don't know where that's coming from. I guess that's coming from the other teams leaving. But you're not getting $8 to $15 million in a TV deal anytime soon. I'd be shocked if someone did that. Shocked. But I like for the Sun Belt, when you're playing football, to have a team in Texas. It is certainly in the western partial of the conference. I understand that. It's not convenient to the Marshalls or the Coastals or the ODUs, for that fact of the matter. But it's not that bad for the Troys and the Southern Mississippis and the Cajuns and ULM. And it's not only about the football, it's about all those other sports. Remember that. And so when you're playing a Texas school on your schedule, as the Cajuns do, and the Western Division plays Texas State every year, you can recruit a lot easier in Texas, is that you'll be able to watch your kid play and eventually come back to your home state. And obviously, so much talent in the state of Texas. I think it's important to keep Texas State. I do. I don't think they've been all that good in football for all that long. Basically been a season and a half, almost. It hasn't even been a season and a half. That doesn't mean they're not going in the right direction. But the schools, you're not joining. Here's the thing. You're joining for a little bit of money, but you're still going to be a G5 conference. Pac-12 is not going to be a Power 5 conference. That's not going to happen. They're not going to rewrite the rules for Washington State and Oregon State and Texas State and Fresno State and San Diego State. Not going to happen. Sorry, that is not going to happen. I hope Texas State stays. I certainly understand if they go. I'm not sure that's going to be the best of all decisions. I can see something like that falling apart again. Whereas I think the Sun Belt, and again, I'd like Keith Gill to be a little bit more proactive, but we'll see what happens on the back end of this thing. If he can get some AAC schools to come over, I would doubt it because you heard that money differential. But stay tuned because this Texas State thing could happen at almost any time. Even G.J. Kinney said, yes, I've heard about what's going on and leaving it up to the AD and the president of the school to make the decisions. Really is a presidential decision, but I'm sure he's being consulted on by his AD. I hope Texas State stays. I really do. Big fan of G.J. Kinney. I think a little brashness is good for the Sun Belt. And I think having a Texas school in the Sun Belt, and that's probably one of the bigger markets, to be honest with you, smack dab in the middle of Austin and San Antonio. So I hope they stay. We shall see. But it's certainly an ongoing story. That is for sure. All right. Again, special thanks. We are over 1,500 subscribers. I appreciate everybody. This will be the biggest month in Lockdown Sunbelt history. It will probably be the first or second biggest week. We just had the biggest week in Sunbelt history because of the Texas State thoughts about leaving the conference. And since we had more thoughts on them, we'll keep on talking about them because this will probably be the second biggest week in Lockdown Sunbelt history. So really appreciate it. We'll start doing a little peeking at basketball. Practice started. All right, maybe we can get some coaches on in the middle of football season. I don't know if that's feasible or not, but we are, about 5 weeks away from basketball season starting. So we're looking forward to that one. But in basketball, it always seems as if the conference is always up for grabs. So we shall see. All right. Once again, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be back again on Monday to recap week 5, and we'll see where I was right and where I was wrong, because last week I was wrong a whole lot. All right. Have a safe weekend, everybody. And please, if you're in the way of the hurricane, please evacuate and get to safe ground. And hopefully everything will be okay when the storm dissipates. All right. I'm your host, Dave Schultz, and you've been listening and watching to Lockdown Sunbelt, your team every day.